So economics, what is it, why am I interested in it, and why does it even matter to anybody, or why should it at any rate? Basically, there's a lot of possible different definitions for economics, and I learned a few of those when I was in college, and they were pretty nice. They'll be like, the study of economic exchange, involving monetary policy and trade policy and any number of other things like that. And it's not that they're wrong, but they're kind of missing the point in the textbooks a lot. Go figure, a textbook that actually misses the overall point. Economics is, at its most fundamental level, about people. We'll just say two people. We'll say Bob and Tom. And Bob, he's got the ability and the willingness to do something like cut down a tree, use the wood, build chairs. That's what Bob does. Okay, Tom, not so good at building chairs. Can't even cut down trees. Weak little spindly thing like me. But Tom, he's really good at raising chickens. Tom can raise chickens better than anybody else around. And the problem is with Tom is that he needs some kind of a furniture. He needs coops. And we'll just say that Bob happens to be really good at building all manner of furniture, including chicken coops. So Bob uses his time to build a chicken coop and trades it to Tom for eggs, meat, whatever he wants. And in this case, they do this because Bob has more furniture, more wood, more time on his hands that he can produce efficiently chicken coops than Tom could possibly do. And Tom realizes this, and Tom has more time on his hands and expertise and all of that for producing chickens, however it is you produce chickens, and feed them and water them and whatnot and have them breed. And at the end of the day, they're both better off, because if Tom otherwise spent some of his time raising chickens and also building the chicken coops, and if Bob spent part of his time building furniture for people, including chicken coops, and then also devoted some of his time to raising chickens, not building chickens, that's a little bit weird, they'd both have both fewer chickens and chicken coops, is the idea, because they're at least spending part of their time doing something less efficiently than they otherwise could. And that's kind of why it really matters when people mess with economics, because what they're doing, in effect, whenever it's government or a dictator coming along and doing stuff, people stealing things, theft in general, whenever you do that, what you're doing is you're creating poverty. And you're creating poverty by causing people to do something less efficiently than they otherwise would. The whole point of economics is to use scarce resources. They're not infinite and they're not hyper-limited, but they are scarce. They are limited on some level, whatever your resource is. And the most important one, of course, is human time. To use those scarce resources to do something with them as efficiently as you can while supplying everyone with what they need. And whenever you mess with that process, you're creating poverty. You're making it less efficient to do that. It's not really the philosophical reason. I'll do that in the next video. I'll kind of discuss why that matters and kind of what some of these terms are. But in general, that's why, big picture, economics is a big deal. Because my definition, and I've run this by a few people, none of which are college professors, I'd like to get in touch with a few that might listen to me on this, really is the exchange of human action. Okay, if I cut down trees, but I never sell the wood, I never trade anything for the wood that I get from the trees. I just cut down the trees and I just keep the wood in my yard, and I don't do anything with it. Well, that's not economics. Okay, I didn't do anything with the tree. It's not until I do something with the wood in exchange for somebody else's that I've engaged in any economic activity at all. Sitting at home is not an economic activity, but also writing papers about things that no one gives you anything for it is not economic activity either. They're both human action, but they're not economics in any fashion. Economics doesn't require money per se either. It just requires that you exchange. I'm doing something that I'm good at, and you do things that you're good at, and then we trade. And as soon as we trade, we've had economic activity, because I needed something you did, and you needed something that I did. And we realized this, and that was the whole point in our doing that to some extent. So when people are like, well, we need to raise or lower taxes on one thing or another, we need to give subsidies to something, we need to mess with things on some level, what you're really doing is saying we need to interfere with the voluntary exchange of human action, and that it's a really bad idea for practical reasons. Like I said, I'll get into the philosophical in the next one.